when I first decided to run for UA freshman year, it was kind of probably for the wrong reasons. Just everyone, probably like half of you guys, were involved with student government in high school, and so wanting to change $90 at Wawa or AC and Hill, all these impossible things that you couldn't do. That was like my reason freshman year, and the reason I stuck with it sophomore junior year was because of the civic and community engagement committee. I wanted to do more than simply dining issues or issues that like kind of bothered the students, but wasn't really necessary. Wasn't a huge pain in our daily lives, and so being a part of this committee this past year has really made me see that student government can do much more than just fixing dining issues, fixing rodent issues. And so, like in this role as vice presidency, I really see it as something that can enable me to make students care about each other, about other student groups, about Philadelphia as a whole. And so that's why I'm running for this position to make a change on a larger level. So by being elected by the entire student body, this role is different this year in that you're held accountable to the entire student body. At the same time, that means that you can do much more in terms of like addressing a specific niche's issue as opposed to the current model. And so on paper, most of it's the same, but really what this role is that it's much larger, and you really are able to connect with many more people, and you're more responsible to a larger variety of people as opposed to just the UA internal. So student government is, in my opinion, is extremely relevant to students. The disconnect is where we don't communicate well with the students, where we aren't outreaching, where we're not listening and like speaking to students on a daily basis. And so I think in terms of being more relevant, that's not the main issue. The main issue is communicating that relevance and gathering feedback from you guys. So that we can work more effectively with one another and work off each other instead of us doing what we think is relevant to students and just doing that kind of on our own without feedback from y'all. One thing I'd like to do much more this year is using survey results more effectively. So conjoint analysis survey results, like what is that exactly? It's just something that gets at students' needs, like ranking what students actually want and what students actually want in a more effective way, as opposed to just the 33 UA members saying, hey, we think this is important, we're going to work on this. A lot of it is, so school spirit. When people say school spirit, you think the basketball games and how very few people go to basketball games, football games, and even these big games like these, they're extremely low attendance. I think it's much more than that. School spirit is really whether Penn students enjoy being there. And I think for the most part it's yes, but at the same time, I think one of the biggest pluses and minuses, in this case minus, of Penn is that it's extremely decentralized and that we have 50 different clubs that deal with the same issue. And I think bringing Penn students together is a huge part of it, especially in this role, is just saying, hey, you guys are doing this, you guys are doing that, why don't we combine and work with each other, as opposed to doing two separate things, getting two separate people, and instead of bringing the best of both together. So I think communication from the top and to the bottom. Right now it's a very top-down approach, at least in the UA. And so a lot of the knowledge is kept with the president or the current chair, the vice chair. And not a lot of it trickles down until this UA member goes up to a president or vice president, and asks him or her about this issue. And so I think we can do a lot more with not just communicating with students, but even communicating within ourselves. And beyond that, just collaboration amongst the different branches. There's a lot of animosity, especially during budget season when we're cutting this group and giving another group this much. And I think meeting with these other groups, like from the very beginning, and understanding each other, and just getting to know each other better, like through socials and through largely what NEC does, the Nominations and Elections Committee. Bringing these 6 branches together is something that's really important. I'm biased in this regard in that I think one of the best things that the UA has done has been one of the things I've been most excited for, which is starting out communications. Before we have an all-school email, we had a website, and we had several other forms of like smaller communication. But this year we've started blogging. This year we started having a weekly assembly line email, and this is just the beginning, of course, but it's one step towards sharing what we're doing with the students. A really new initiative that freshman member Chris Cruz has been working with me on has been texting the UA. So just another form of reaching out to students and having students reach out to us. You can text the UA at text@pennua.org, which you should all do, and we'll get back to you with feedback, with what we can do to solve your problem, or what we're doing to work on your project and your idea. I think cohesion within the body has been has been slightly subpar. You can see that through attendance issues. You can see that through people kind of dropping out of their projects. We have a lot of great projects and we have a ton of great members, but it's easy to slip through the cracks this year, like without like strong accountability, without a strong sense of unity within the body. I guess just starting out outreach from a stronger foot. So for example, during NSO, starting by heading on every single freshman door, saying, hey, this is the UA, this is what we're doing. Consider running for election in a couple of weeks. And that's something we never did. And we did it a couple of years ago, and it was quite successful in terms of getting people to know what the UA does, getting people to run for UA, and other branches of student government as well, and just knowing about what we do. And I think we can be doing much more of that type of outreach. So we have several classes called ABC, Academically Based Community Service classes. We have courses that involve problem-solving learning, a ton of courses that just involve taking a problem and actually solving it. Now, people spend an entire semester doing this research and in these myriad of classes, from urban studies, environmental studies to poli-sci, and rarely do these actually get implemented. And so one thing that I'd love to do as vice president would be to create some sort of repository and connect more with these classes, these professors and students, saying, hey, you guys are spending a semester on this research, we can help you implement this. So bridging that gap between the academics and actual implementation, because a lot of what the UA does is research before we act on issues, and a lot of the research is already being done, but after it's being done, they often just sit on shelves without being implemented. So I'd like to take what's already being researched and make sure that that happens.